What's up, Buffs Nation, and welcome into Buffs News Weekly. I'm your host, Russ Dornish. I wanted to come at you today with a short kind of tutorial video rather than a live stream, just because of what's occurred in the last 24 hours, and just kind of go over the points that I think a lot of people are missing, and kind of hopefully for most Buffs fans, kind of calm the waters, so to speak. And for those of you who are not Buffs fans, haters, who just want to come in here and say that Coach Prime is leaving, Coach Prime is leaving, Coach Prime is leaving. Maybe one of you will get something out of this, but who knows? We'll have to see. So I'm going to go over a couple points of why I know Coach Prime is not going anywhere. And last night, of course, he did put out the message that he is not going to take the Cowboys job. He did get a call from Jerry Jones. They had a conversation, but he has decided that he loves Colorado more, wants to be here for the long haul. And so that's where we're at with that. I'm still seeing people this morning saying that that was a smokescreen and that's just him saying that and he's going to be leaving anyway. The fact is the Raiders passed on him. The Cowboys are now moving on because they are looking at adding and interviewing Kellen Moore, who was their prior OC for the job as of this morning. It's looking like they're moving on with the normal process and Prime will not be a part of it. But I wanted to go through some more in detail of why this just does not make sense either to Coach Prime or to the Cowboys, and why everyone needs to just kind of move on from this and realize that it's not happening. And there's a specific reason that we are seeing what we are seeing the last week or so. So first up is the one that I get a lot of pushback online. So it's the $8 million buyout for Prime to get him to coach. Now, I've heard a lot of people who are like, oh, $8 million, like Jerry Jones wipes his, you know what, with $8 million. It's not a big deal. He'll pay it easily if he wants Prime. Agreed to an extent. There's a couple things that I want to point out here and a couple of details that I'm going to go in a little bit deeper. As somebody with a finance background, I want to kind of come at you from that angle and talk about why that's not as simple as we want to make it. Okay, so a couple things. There is this thing called cash poor. Now, it sounds bad. It's not bad. It's just what a lot of rich people have because, and honestly, it's smart. Okay. You want to know how rich people avoid taxes and things like that? Well, rather than have just straight cash to spend on things, what they do is they get assets, things like property, things like businesses, and then they go out and take loans against those businesses to then pull that money out to spend, and it's a way of avoiding taxes, okay? It's why rich people just get richer. As you get richer, you have more money to game the system that then allows you to bring in more money if you're smart. Now, when I say that, there is only so much that a rich person will want to carry in cash. Reasoning being, they don't get interest, they don't make money on that money. They're losing money, essentially, is what it is. Number two, well, actually, that's probably the big one. But the fact is that you are not going to want to have all this cash. Now, every team is going to need cash because they have to pay a lot of salaries. That is a lot of cash that they have to have on hand. $8 million may not seem a lot, but it can be, especially to a rich person. And I'd like to add that we normal people can say that, oh, to them, $8 million is not a big deal. The reason that they are rich is because they value every penny they have. It's why rich people hoard their money so much. They have gotten there because they value every single dollar. Just want to put that out there. Now, is that the end all be all and the only reason why Coach Prime is not going to the NFL or going to the Cowboys? No. I just wanted to bring up that point as one of the points that could potentially be a part of a list of points that is causing this issue. The second point, especially when it comes to the Cowboys, is no top pick. I don't know how many people I've seen online be like, oh, they can trade for it. Like it's some easy feat to trade for a top 3 or 4 pick, especially when you're starting with the 12th pick. Maybe if the Cowboys were 3rd or 4th and wanted to trade up to that top spot, they could. Go look at what the 49ers did to get Trey Lance. They traded a lot to move up from a 4th, 5th pick to a top pick. I can't remember. I'm not going to look it up. I'm just talking conjecturally. The Cowboys are way down at 12. Do they have the ability to trade up for that? I don't think so. And if they do, it is going to drastically hurt the franchise. It is going to put Coach Prime, it's going to put Shador in a very bad spot. The second part to that is anybody even going to willingly take that trade? When you look at the top picks in the draft, you've got the Tennessee Titans, the Cleveland Browns, two teams who are probably looking quarterback. New England, probably not looking quarterback, but it's further down. So that might be your only chance. But if the first two take quarterbacks, then does Shador even end up there? Does Shador get picked by the Titans? Can they, quote unquote, pull a Peyton Manning and trade up all this and then refuse to play? There's so much in play there that it's just not an easy feat. And so I don't see why Coach Prime would want to coach the Cowboys without being able to coach his son. Next point, and it kind of ties in with that trade. A lot of people are saying, well, they can include Dak Prescott, multiple first rounders, multiple second rounders. What team at the top wouldn't want that and wouldn't want a quarterback like Dak Prescott? It's not that simple, folks. Okay, so Dak Prescott, if he were to get released, would carry a $151 million in dead cap per sports track. I'm going off of the salary cap sites available out there for you. I'm sorry if you think it's different or if it's a different amount. Unfortunately, we don't get the information easily. So Sport Track salary cap website shows that if he was cut in the upcoming year, his dead cap would be $151 million. Now, the other sources that I'm looking at, Benjamin Albright on Twitter and NFL Network has also said that even if they trade him, they will still have about $100 million in dead cap for his salary. I can't remember or can't believe how many people are like, well, the Broncos made the playoffs with Russ's dead salary cap. That was $83 million for 1 year. 100 to 150 million may not sound like a lot, but when the salary cap is only so much, that is a ton. Okay? That is a ton of money. You're talking 10, 20 players on your roster that you will not be able to pay or will have to pay minimum wage. Not to mention, they just paid CeeDee Lamb a lot of money. And Micah Parsons is going to be owed a contract. If you think that the Cowboys can retain Micah Parsons and take on this dead cap hit, you are absolutely wrong. So again, the team would be completely bare. They would have to start new. It would take years before they could even compete again because they would be waiting for that dead cap to come off the books. So another reason why it just doesn't make sense. On top of that, guys, guess what? Dak Prescott has a no trade clause. So he can veto anything. He can force the Cowboys into releasing him and having to take on the full $151 million, which I don't know if Jerry Jones wants to do that. He still complains about the dead cap that he had for Ezekiel Elliott of $6 million. Do you think the guy is going to like the idea of $150 million? My guess is they had a conversation. He said, yeah, you could probably get Shador at some point, but we won't be able to get him right away. Do you still want to coach? And that is when Prime said, you know what? Colorado's probably still looking really good. Okay. That is my guess, but I'm going off of based all the information we have. Dak Prescott's contract, what it would take to trade up to get Shador, what it would look like to push Coach Prime out the door over there. Now, why is Coach Prime doing this? Why is he all of a sudden this week talking about the potential of going in the NFL? Why is he being mentioned to the Raiders? Why is this whole Cowboy saga being public and mentioned? One thing and one alone, and that is negotiation. Okay. And I have heard so many people say, well, give him everything he wants, give him all the money he wants, just give him a blank check and let him do it. There's a couple things wrong with that, guys. Money isn't just on trees. It isn't just everywhere. It isn't something that, we could just say $100 million contract. Great. He signs. We're good. Do we have $100 million? Can we get $100 million? Who knows? Who knows exactly the amount? I'm not saying Colorado is cheap, but Colorado has to be smart when it comes to these contract negotiations. Now, yesterday, it was released about the new NIL fund for Colorado, which has been moved in-house. That's why the 5430 Foundation is no longer active. They have moved it in-house to control that money. Now, if you go and look at the announcement for the new NIL and how you can donate and all that stuff, there are budgetary goals listed on there. One of those goals is a head football coach salary of $10 million. To me, that tells me that is the number that's sitting right now in front of Coach Prime. I have a feeling Coach Prime will accept that amount. The reason he hasn't signed the contract and the reason why we are seeing contract negotiations like this occur is not because he doesn't like the money or wants more. It's because of the language, the contract language, and what is available inside of it. There are going to be incentives added. There are going to be promises added to his contract. Coach Prime wants everything in the world to be successful, which he absolutely deserves. Colorado has to be smart about what they promise and what they put in that contract, because if they can't deliver on something for whatever reason, the contract's null and void, and now Coach Prime is a free agent. You see how that works and how you have to be very careful and meticulous when it comes to this process? It isn't as simple as saying, Coach Prime, we want to pay you $10 million a year, sign a contract. No, there are pages and pages and pages, and there are things that Coach Prime's camp is wanting, and there are things that the school is wanting. The school is most likely negotiating a massive buyout to try and stop him, or at least put the school in a good position if he does decide to leave at some point in the future. Those are all things that we have to worry about and deal with right now, guys, okay? Those are all things that are happening right now. It is not a simple, here's $10 million, sign on the dotted line, okay? Everybody has their right to what they are doing. This is just part of the process, okay? It is just part of the process. We need to relax. We need to let it play out. I know that we are very impatient at times when it comes to a lot of things. We have been given everything that we have wanted. We have seen immediate gratification when it comes to having access to the team. When it comes to success, I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says, going from 1-11 to 4-8 to now 9-4, 9-3, 9-4 with the bowl loss. The point is that everything has happened quickly. We need to have some patience here. They're going to get the contract done. And I'm telling you right now, it just does not make sense for any of those NFL teams for him to go to. It would be a bad business move by Coach Prime. It would be a bad business move by the team in question. And trust me, they are thinking about these things. Is it intriguing, the idea of coming full circle, coaching the Cowboys, having your son on the team? Absolutely. But that is a dream, a pipe dream that when you really look at the logistics and the facts is not something that can occur this year. Could it occur down the road in the future? Absolutely. Could it eventually happen that Coach Prime coaches his kids once again in the NFL? Absolutely. Do I think that in 3, 4, 5 years' time, when Shador's contract runs out, when Shiloh's maybe a free agent, when other players are, that they wouldn't not sign a contract and just go play for Coach Prime for the Cowboys if he became the coach then? Absolutely. I do not think that Coach Prime wants to coach the Cowboys for 3 to 5 years without Shador, without any of his sons, and have to deal with the roster that they have right now, rebuild, do all that stuff that I don't think he's comfortable with at this point. And so that is why I think it's crazy that anybody is even freaking out over this. I can see on the wall what the writing is of why this is happening, why it's coming out. We need to realize this is all part of business. And trust me, behind the scenes, the communication that is happening is immense. These kids are not just left out in the dark, especially when it comes to Coach Prime, because he knows what kind of detriment this can cause to the team and recruiting if this just continues. He needs to sign a 3 to 5 year contract so that can at least guarantee that he's there during that period. And then when that contract gets up, if he wants to flirt with the NFL and go there, he absolutely can. And he can probably get everything that he wants at that point, especially if he's been successful in that 3 to 5 year period. So I just wanted to jump on here. I wanted to go through all these points. I wanted to break down this whole thing of what's happened the last 48 hours and assure Buffs fans out there, you do not need to worry. And for those of you who are haters who have made it all the way to this point, hey, I appreciate the eyeballs on the content. Subscribe to the channel, like it if you're okay with this. I'm fine with you guys being a part of this journey and having conversation with me. It's why we do our live streams every few days. You guys can come in there, talk to me. We can have a back and forth. I'm not kicking out most people. I've banned one person an entire year, and it was for a very specific reason. So as long as you're cordial, as long as you're nice in the chat, you can talk as much trash as you want. Come on out. We're fine with hearing that. But for now, like I said, hit that like, subscribe if you like this content, want to see more of it. Until next time, I'm Russ Dornish. Sco Buffs.